All right, welcome back to episode 5 of Wholeheartedly with Galey
and Kendall. What is up, everybody? We have a really, really great topic for you today. And it kind of is the sentiment of what this is for Galey and I. We are talking female friendships, but we also have some other things to update you guys on before that. So if you have stories and experiences, this is the one for you.
Speaking of female friendships, I think one that is close to all of our hearts would be the person who's doing our hair and our nails. And something happened last week that I need to run by you because I had like a WWKD, like what would Kendall do moment.
Oh, thank you.
Here's what had happened. So I have this girl who I am obsessed with. She's been doing my nails. She did it for the show, all my appearances. Like she is my go-to. I only go to her. And I had this shoot coming up and I needed to have my nails done. And I put it off to the last minute. I didn't schedule her in advance, like my bad. So I tried to schedule and they said she was completely booked, like back to back to back, could not squeeze me in. And so I was like, okay, give me like somebody that you recommend who's also good. And he was like, oh, this girl's great. You're going to love her. When I tell you, I feel like I'm having an existential life crisis because when I walked out of there, I realized that the new girl who did my nails, as I looked across the salon in the seat I usually sit in with the person who knows all of my life stories, she knows where like all the bodies are hidden. She's over there like having a relationship with somebody else in front of me, but my nails were even better.
No, that is no.
What do I do? Because now what's going to happen is every time I go in there, I'm going to be looking at like my one night stand, regretting my serious relationship.
Oh no.
Or do I go with the one day stand and like just have to keep my head down every time I walk by my old relationship? Like what would Kendall do?
Okay. This is going to take a little finesse. This is going to take a little finesse and strategy. But we're going to do it. We're going to get you through it. So first thing, were they really that good? Like they were like unbelievably good, like 10 times better?
Kendall, you have no idea. You have no idea. It was like, how do I compare this?
Clipped the cuticles perfectly, like no little nicks, perfect shaped.
The speed at which she moved, not only was it flawless, but it saved me time, which puts money back in my pocket at the end of the day.
Listen, if there's one thing, if anybody's a nail tech or wants to be a nail tech, the number one skill set you need to have, yes, do great nails, great, healthier things instead of the UV light, do the red light, all that great stuff. I don't care. If you are not generally quick, I cannot go to you. It just doesn't work. You can't spend 3 to 4 hours of your day getting your nails done multiple times a year. Think about it. Like how much time you spend in that chair, that adds up. So I'm with you. Because she's quick, and I know how busy you are, and I know how important your time is, as is all of our time, you're going to have to find a way to get into her chair consistently. Now, the way with which you are going to do this is going to take some skill, it's going to take a little bit of empathy, and it's going to take some strategy. And I'm going to say, you know how your girl was booked up because you reached out at the last minute? You're going to kind of have to play that game a little bit. So when your nails are due again, call the salon. Know that you're pushing it to get to your usual girl. And now you need to have a second date with one night stand nail girl, right? Because now if it's 2 times in a row because your schedule's so busy, quote unquote, it doesn't look strategic. It just looks like, oh, luck of the draw, it happened again, right?
Kendall, I don't like it. I cannot subscribe to this plan. There's too many holes. Usually she is available last minute, right? Which is why I thought I could pull it off. And what if superstar one day stand is not available because I haven't booked her in advance? Because let me tell you, the secret is going to get out. She is going to be their number one nail tech. So I almost think I need to figure out what day. No, I got this.
Okay.
I think I need to figure out what day my long-term relationship does
nail
not
girl.
work. Yep. And then schedule the other girl always on that day. And then we don't have to make eye contact. There's no walking past her table.
See, here's when I'm thinking of this and the amount of care and concern we're giving towards these nail women to not hurt their feelings. All I can think of is how many men out there, some of whom with which we've dated, have done this and figured out this strategy multiple times and had no care in the world to cheat. Like the amount of brain power it takes to figure this out. This is like too much emotional drama. Like, my Lord.
Also, put your hand up in the air, and Kendall, put a finger down if when your nail tech is not doing a good job. Do you stop and say something and try to improve the situation, or do you sit back and just take it because you don't want to hurt their feelings?
I'm reformed. You know what it is? I think this is a big day in the growing woman book, is when you are in the process of having a service or treatment done. It started with a massage. This is the first time I spoke up for myself and I didn't like it. And I was saying, excuse me, can you please focus on my upper back or my traps? I had to say it a couple times. I felt guilty at first, but I got a better massage. That was like the breaking point, right? That was the little tiptoe over the line. I have, and I'm proud to say, I have mid-nails said, I'm so sorry. I know how hard you're working, but this really isn't turning out the way I'd hoped. And I'd show a photo, and then I would allow them to talk about me negatively in whatever language sometimes everyone is speaking, because I feel really embarrassed. I'm like, it's fine. I'm a bitch, like, go for it. But I knew I just couldn't walk away with nails I didn't love.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. I've learned that. I'm probably hated in many nail salons, although my nail girl is Nails by Z. She is in New York and New Jersey. I have to give her a plug. She is by far the single greatest human on the planet. She knows all of my dirt, and she is a genius of epic proportions in the nail community. So I am loyal to a fault, to the point that, like, when the house is done in Florida, I might just have to fly her down. I might fly her down. I'd like be like, girl, stay in the house. I don't care. Go lay by the pool. Like, let's go do a pop-up for you in like that area and build you business, because she's amazing. I will never leave her, but I hear you.
We can turn one of the closets into like your own nail salon studio.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant. Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Also, I'm going to ADHD real quick.
Yeah.
Did you know, as of yesterday on Instagram, when you do a carousel post, you can do 20 photos now?
I heard that. Somebody said, my friend Jess from when I worked at Peloton, she was like, I can finally do 20 photos. That's a lot though. Maybe, but now that it's a new feature, we need to try it so that Instagram gives us reach, because that's the way that you have to play the game with them, because it's all a transaction.
I need that so badly. When I will do 6 different rooms, and I can only do so many before and after. So sometimes I'll post a project, and I don't want to be annoying and post multiple different sets of photos from the same project. So I'll just do one post, and you will literally not see half of the rooms that I did, because I could only fit 5 if I'm doing before and afters. That's 2 pictures per room.
Oh, you're right.
This is just great. This is so great for me.
So when are we getting a new carousel post? Because I want to see like the hidden rooms you couldn't show us before, because Instagram had limits.
That's a good question.
Right?
It might be my house, because I'm in the 11th hour of this reno, and yeah, it might be this house. But I also have a coffee table book coming out, and I am required by Penguin Random House to make sure that I keep at least 50 photos that have never been seen just for the book. So a lot of my house might end up being in the coffee table book.
But I did see what you posted of the gorgeous sink that you're putting in your bathroom. Okay, we need to talk, because I know in my house we already have the sinks kind of picked out, but maybe we can do it in like my bath and we can figure it out, because that sink is stunning. That stone, what is it? Is it leathered marble?
No, it's regular marble. But what's important, like, marble stains really, really easily. So having it be dark gray saves my butt. And the marbling and stuff is really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to ADHD again. I saw this TikTok, and I feel like you're a chef in the way that I am certainly not a chef. So you might have an answer for this.
Okay.
But I saw this TikTok where somebody was washing all of their fruits and veggies when they got home from the grocery store in the dishwasher. And she pulled out all the trays. She laid out the lettuce. She set in the thing of grapes. She laid out all her oranges and things. And then put vinegar in where you put your little tab. Yeah. And then closed it and just put it on rinse. And I was like, I don't know if this is genius or psychopath behavior. What is your take on this? Because I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Okay. In general, I think it's a brilliant idea, because when you think about it, trying to wash your veggies and whatnot is actually really hard to do. I never, and this is embarrassing, I never washed my vegetables as thoroughly as I should have until I started to hang out with real chefs. And then I recognized when they would do like a vinegar and baking soda, sometimes bath on strawberries in particular, because there's a lot of divots, right? So there can be a lot of buggies and little like grimy, dirty things.
Wait, what does the baking soda do? Because that kind of like null and voids the vinegar, right?
So the vinegar, so you can do vinegar and water, but sometimes you do vinegar, water, and baking soda because vinegar is acidic and baking soda is obviously a basic, right? So they kind of neutralize each other. So you do a little bit of both and you kind of make a bath and you let your fruits in particular or something like a strawberry because there's all those divots, right? So things can get in there and you let it sit in there for like 5 to 7 minutes, cold water, and then you pull it out and rinse it. Girl, I know you love to clean. I'm just going to warn you, if you do this, you're going to realize what is on your food and things like that, right? Like herbs or parsley or things where it's hard to get dirt out of. It's a good idea. So I love the idea of using the dishwasher and, you know, packing more of a punch with trying to wash all of your groceries because it takes time. Like people don't realize when you go to the grocery store, please take your strawberries out of the plastic container that it's in. It's not meant to keep the strawberries fresh for a long period of time. It's just going to help them go bad faster. And the plastic, like think of the supply chain of like how the strawberries got to you and how many people touched it and all that. I'm not trying to give people like an OCD problem here, but it's going to change the way you look at your food a little bit. So I like the idea of the dishwasher. The only struggle that I have is you're using it to rinse something to make it cleaner, but you're also using that same dishwasher probably to get all the gunk and stuff off of there. And I'm sorry if you've ever cleaned the filter in your dishwasher. Have you done that?
Have I done that like every week because it makes me feel better? Are you kidding?
You clean the filter and everything. You find the filter that nobody knew had a filter on it and clean the filter. You probably clean your vacuum.
I put a filter on the filter.
Yeah, you're double filtration. But I get a little concerned with that because a lot of standing water and things and bacteria can hide at the base of your dishwasher. So I would love, how about this? I would love if there was a smaller, almost drawer-like dishwasher that would be only for fruits and vegetables and produce. Kind of like the pull-out microwave.
You stole my idea.
You would be, but that's what you should make. That's literally what you should make.
My solution was I want to make a drawer, kind of like a refrigerated drawer, because you don't need an entire dishwasher that you pull out and then like this steam system almost comes in and it neutralizes all of your veggies and your fruits. Because the other thing that I cannot handle with this concept is I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store. I need to run the dishwasher and unload it so that it's ready for my groceries. That's one more step that already a big to do every weekend is on my list, and I don't want to add to it. So we need a drawer.
Wait, can you make that appliance, please? I know you have some fun things cooking up your sleeves that you're not wearing. Actually, you do have sleeves on right now. You can see that.
It's right in here.
I like them. They're cute and puffy. I want to play with them.
This is why you guys need girlfriends, because you can have these really philosophical, life-altering, life-changing conversations about how to just make your life better. And it's all relevant and it's all really important. And it's kind of only a girlfriend conversation. Like, I don't know that a guy would want to have these conversations about your nail tech and about your dishwasher, but this is important.
I have a couple guy friends who have better nails than I do, and they get like the coolest stuff done. So maybe them, but other than that special group of friends, probably not. No, like I love these conversations just like build my life. I need to be distracted by happy, questioning ADHD topics with women that I vibe with. Like I'm so sick of getting random stuff fed to me on like Instagram and then not seeing the stuff I want to see and seeing weird. I'm like, I just want to be around the people that I want to be around. I want the energy I want to be around and I want to contain it. You know what I mean?
You need like a life algorithm that only puts things in your path that I will say I would trust TikTok with my life algorithm because it is so good at putting videos that I want to see. And they're completely different topics. It's completely unhinged. They have nothing to do with one another. Yep. But I will sit there for an hour scrolling and I'm never disappointed. Like, can you imagine if life was like that? They only put the candies you like in the grocery store when you're walking through the candy aisle.
Careful, it might happen.
They only put, right. So some people like bananas when they're a little bit greener. Some like them a little bit softer. So they only put the level of decomposed banana in front of you that you want that day for what you're making. Like, life algorithm, we need this.
I mean, yes, but careful what you wish for. I'm not kidding. This is where it's going. And here's what I'm saying. So like they're using user data, right? And using AI to figure out your shopping habits, things like that. There's a new thing they're starting to do in grocery stores where they're changing the label. So the label's digital. So it's not written anymore. So they can price hike or price lower whenever they please based off of where the value is in the market. So literally you could go to the same grocery store I'm going to. We could be in Florida. You go at 10 a.m. Bananas are priced at, I don't know, like $2 a pound or $3 a pound. I could go and maybe there's a storm coming up through South America where they get the bananas. Now they're not sure if they're going to have supply chain issues. So then they price hike the bananas to $4 for a bushel or a pound or whatever it is that you get a banana in. I don't know what you call a
bushel of bananas.
Bushel of bananas? Would you like a bushel of bananas? Wait, what is it? What do you call a bunch of bananas together?
Hold on, this is messing with me. What is a collection of bananas on the same is it really bushel?
It's called a finger. What? A singular banana is not technically a banana, it's a finger. A grouping of attached fingers make up a hand of banana. Oh, I could see this. Because you know when you get a bunch of bananas at the store, it kind of looks like a baseball glove, like all the bananas together.
Okay, hear me out. I don't believe there is a world in which a single human has ever said, can I please have a finger of a banana? Like just one. Who would say, I just want, how many bananas do you want? Just a finger.
I dare you to go to the store and do that.
Wholeheartedly is sponsored by BetterHelp.
If there's something that I look forward to and I love every week, it is my appointment with my therapist. The way that I have watched my life completely shift by investing that time into learning about my mental health. It's incredible. Therapy is my favorite thing.
Therapy is not just great because it's helping you in your life and working through problems. There's something so empowering about watching you bet on yourself and make moves to do that. And so I implore you to consider therapy and giving BetterHelp a try.
What I love too about BetterHelp is that they're an online therapy platform designed to be convenient and adaptable to your life. So wherever you're going or traveling, you can bring your therapist with you and keep those weekly appointments.
And it's a really easy process. And it starts with a brief questionnaire that matches you with a licensed therapist.
And the really extra great part is that you can switch therapists at any time without any additional cost.
All right. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/whole today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/whole, WHOLE. Oh my gosh, Kendall. I cannot even, okay. Sorry in advance, everybody. The ADHD is really strong today because I didn't run this morning. And I think that helps calm me down. So I apologize for the Galey that you are receiving today. But can we talk about the Eras tour being shut down because of terrorist threats?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what is wrong with people? This is the stuff that, like, I feel like we're all unified and we have the Olympics and everything is so great and everybody's so happy at these concerts. And like, this is where so many little girls experience like true joy for the first time in their childhood.
Yeah. And like true girlhood. Like I remember going to the Eras tour when it was at, and this is kind of what made me a semi-Swiftie. I'm not going to say I'm full send, but this made me understand Taylor Swift and like really have a ton of respect because I loved her early on. Then I was like, I vibed with Reputation because it was edgier. And then I was kind of ambivalent. Liked it, didn't love it. Going to the Eras concert at MetLife truly was such a positive, beautiful experience. I don't care if you really love Taylor or you can't stand her. I can't imagine not being able to stand her after going to that concert because no matter what you think of her music or how she appears in the world, the amount of young girls complimenting each other on the way to the bathroom, taking photos together, being polite, being nice, it was truly like, it was like soothing calamine lotion to the burns that I've received as a young woman going through girl on girl crime and how terrible women can be to each other. It was so beautiful. And like the dads with the daughters and then the boyfriends that are there. It was such a special environment. So for this is what's so hard about the world, right? Like there's so much, people want to take away the light of something else, particularly when it does such positive, good work. And it takes such energy to protect that and to try to keep those negative energies out. And it sucks that this happened for all of the people in Vienna and all 3 shows. And then I feel like, how is Taylor feeling right now, knowing that she's just trying to spread joy and people could have died in a mass amount? I mean, there was already that one person that had that tragic moment, I believe in her show in Brazil, that young girl that died from being overheated because it was so hot outside. And that's awful and a freak accident. And I know she did something for the family, but there's got to be a strange responsibility there too. Like, talk about the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's wild.
And I would be so scared to keep going because you don't want to risk that happening, because now you've been made aware that this is something that has been targeted and there's not a certain way to make sure it's never targeted again. So do you keep going and know that you're potentially putting these people at risk, or do you not go and break hundreds of thousands of hearts for all the people that have been looking so forward to this and saved up for this? And this is going to be the highlight of their year, if not their decade, right, is attending this. So it's very, this is not a decision or a situation I would wish on anyone, because it's gotta be soul crushing for her.
Yeah. And I think when she's doing something that she loves, that she cares about, when you're an artist, you're giving your music to other people. Yes, you're expressing your personal experiences, but the second that music becomes public, and I think she's said this before too, and I've heard a lot of other artists and friends of mine who are artists describe this sensation, like the songs are no longer yours. They take on the life of the people who are listening to it and how it connects to them. It becomes their property and their experience because they're adding their own layers to it. So I can't imagine giving. People so love, and now it's their story. And now it's like someone's taking away their moment and their story. It's not even so much about like Taylor getting to have the concert. She's going to provide that fun and that joy anyway. I'm sure she's sick of singing Love Story. Like, she wrote that when she was like 14, 15. But she'll still go out and do it because of what it means to her audience and to her fans. So to feel like you doing what you love puts other people's lives at risk, it's just shitty. Like, I don't know how else to say it.
Speaking of still going out and doing it, it's a little bit like her You Can Do It with a Broken Heart song.
Yep.
The streets of Vienna have been flooded with all of the Swifties with their phones up, with the lights on, and they are in perfect harmony, not missing a beat, not missing a single word, singing through all of her albums. And my social media has been flooded with these videos. And then I feel like a little bit of humanity is restored, because maybe they didn't get the experience of going to the Taylor Swift concert, but they did get the experience of feeling like, I'm going to do, like, their hearts were broken, but they did it anyways. And they got out into the streets and they sang their butts off. And it was probably as memorable as a Taylor Swift concert, because they were part of something bigger than themselves that they took action on and they took control over. And then they still got to sing all the songs and be together and feel like they were part of something. And I think that is the whole point of the Taylor Swift concert. It's the whole Eras tour, right? It's about doing something for yourself that makes you feel good and being really positive. And that's what they did collectively in the streets. And so I don't know where they go from here, but I just know that the Swifties are strong.
Yeah, they're an incredible force of individuals. And I think what's beautiful is that what her music has done has inspired people to see their own power. It's empowered everybody that listens to her music because they feel seen. And then they, from feeling seen, walk through the world a little bit differently. They feel a part of a collective. They feel a team behind their back. They feel known. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like, what those Swifties did in Vienna shows the sum can be greater than its individual parts. And that's what's so epic about that. And so no matter how people feel about Taylor Swift, I can't imagine not at the bare minimum having mega respect for her. And the fact that with all the chaos in the world, with so many things being thrown her way, trying to pull back that light, she continues to stay on her path, and so does the women that she empowers. Anyway, so speaking of that, right, and being able to have those connections between women, let's talk female friendships, because I think they're single-handedly one of the most important things in our lives, but they can also be the cause of a lot of turmoil, particularly when we're younger and growing and developing. So do you have any friendship stories? We're going to go a little deeper. Ready? Like female friendship breakups that were really defining to you as Galey.
I am terrified of this question because I still feel so strongly about girlfriends from my past that for whatever reason it didn't end the way I wanted it to. It probably started in middle school, high school. I remember I was friends with a group of girls, and then I just kind of wasn't cool anymore, and I got cut out. And then there was this other girl that just hated me. It hated me, and we were on all of the teams. We were on the volleyball team together. We were in so many classes together. I went to a really little, very cliquey private school in Gainesville, Florida. And the school was great, and there were so many great people there. But especially this one girl, she just hated me. And to this day, I still have people when I go back in town tell me she's still talking about how much she hates me.
No, she still hates you?
Kendall, I have never said a bad thing about her. I actually genuinely like her. I think she's pretty. I think she's athletic. I think she's a good person. But for some reason, she hates me. And I remember pulling her aside junior year. She was in the library, and I pulled her outside, and I was like, hey, I just want to talk to you really quick. I don't know what I did that made you hate me for the last few years, but I would love to be your friend and just figure this out. And she was like, I don't like you, and I'm never going to like you. And I was like, okay, so there's nothing I can do to help make you like me. I was so desperate. It was pathetic. And she was like, no, I can't stand you. And she just walked away. And I still think about this girl like probably once a month randomly, like, I bet she still hates me. And that's part of my OCD, right? I can't let go of things. I just spin and hold on. So like, that's the first one. I think the first heartbreak most girls feel is probably from a girlfriend. You have friends before you have boyfriends, right? Or maybe you date a girl, in which case, oh, that would be so hard. I could definitely not date a girl like me because I would lose my sanity. But I do know that I think I'm not alone in saying this, but your first heartbreak is probably from a girlfriend. But also, those are the friendships you want to hold on to the tightest, because this is factual. Women outlive men vast majority of the time. So no matter how great your husband or your life partner is, if they are of the opposite sex and you are a female, chances are, statistically, you will outlive them. I'm talking by decades. And that means that you better make those friendships.
Totally. And what's interesting is, my grandfather passed on my mom's side, and I was very, very close with him. He was a riot, like stoic, 6'4", but silly. I have the best video of us I'll show you one time where I was like dancing around him singing Just Haven't Met You Yet, because he would always laugh about like, Kenny, when are you going to meet the guy? When are you going to meet the guy? And it just, one thing, like I wish he was around to meet Shadow Man. That's one thing that like always kind of gets me. But he makes himself known in different ways. Yellow butterflies are his thing. Yellow was his favorite color. And it's wild how many I see when I'm out and about with Shadow Man and I in like the world. So that's always like a wink and a nod from him. But I digress. My grandma, when my grandpa passed on, it's been so interesting to watch her experience as a woman and just her energy as a woman kind of shift, because I think from the decade and the part of the time that they were from, that dynamic was very different. So seeing her really lean into her female friendships and foster new ones after his passing, and makes me realize my grandma's probably going to be around, knock on wood, God bless, like probably another 10 years. And so she has a whole portion of her life where the source of her, I want to say like emotional stability, extra support, vulnerability, all of that is coming from women. And so I believe I'm right there with you. I think our female relationships set the stage early on for us about how we're going to navigate any type of like emotional discourse. And then we also get that at the back half of our life. So having those experiences that are heartbreaking also, can I talk to that chick? Like can I talk to her? Like, why doesn't she like you?
Oh, no. There's another chick you need to talk to. So in one of my past relationships, I've had a few, and I'm not going to identify exactly which guy this is, so have fun trying to figure it out. But I'd been dating him for a couple of years, and I moved to a new city for my job at Goldman, and I didn't know anybody. All I knew was him, and he introduced me to one of his girlfriends who he'd been friends with for a long time. And I became really close with her, and for the next year and a half, we were inseparable. Every time I went out with him anywhere, she and other friends would be there, and she was just my right hand. Like we were two peas in a pod. And one day, her boyfriend broke up with her, so I took her to where you just were, the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, and I put her up for a night and just like got her out of her head, out of her sad space. And I was like there rubbing her back while she was crying. And I just was really, I wanted to be the friend to her that, you know, I would want somebody to be to me.
Yeah.
And we were really close, and a year and a half goes by, and he was out at he was a partier, and I am not. I'm a homebody. So he would go out sometimes at night, and I would just stay home and get a good night's rest so I could run in the morning. And it was Sunday morning, and I woke up and he never came home. And I got really scared because he always comes home at least by 3 or 4 o'clock, and it was now 7 a.m. and he wasn't home. So I called his phone, and it rang and then shut off after a couple rings.
Oh, no.
And then I called her phone multiple times because I knew she was out with him, so she would have known where he was. And she called me back right away and was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, hey, so-and-so never came home last night, and I'm shaking. He's not picking up his phone. I just want to make sure he's okay. And she goes, oh gosh, I was crying, and she goes, I'll be right over. So she comes over in her pajamas, and we're sitting in my bed, and I'm crying. And I knew something was wrong. That's why I was so emotional. And she goes, I think you should go to his mom's house. He might be there. See if his car's outside. And I think he needs to tell you something. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, I just feel like he needs to tell you something. And I was like, okay. So in my pajamas, I throw on a hat because my hair is a mess.
Yeah.
And I speed over to his mom's house. His car is out front. His Escalade's in her driveway. And I'm like, okay, he's here. I'm banging on the door. He finally comes down the stairs, looks completely hungover, and lets me in. And I say, hey, so-and-so was just at my house, and she said you had to tell me something. And like, why didn't you come home to my house last night? What is going on? Why are you at your mom's house? And he was like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's crazy. And I was like, no, she has to tell you something. And I just looked at him. Something physical happened. I think he was frustrated that I was so panicked and kind of got physical for a moment. And then he felt bad that he had done that because I was now laying on the floor. And he looked down, and after just being kind of, I never thought I was going to say this. He kind of strangled me a little bit, like in the banister of the stairwell, like put my neck between it and like held me there for a little while. And I couldn't breathe, and I was on the floor. I don't remember how I got down to the floor. I don't know if I passed out because I couldn't breathe or what. But when I opened my eyes, I just remember my hat was on the floor next to me, and I felt really exposed. And I looked at him, and I just said, if you've ever loved me, please just be honest with me. And he said, I have been sleeping with, and he said my best friend's name, since before you.
The girl that was just at your house.
Yeah. And he said, since before you even met her. And the craziest part is that he told me that when I called him that morning, they were actually having sex, which is why he ended the call. And the reason she picked up while they were mid-coitus was because she didn't want me to get suspicious. So then she spoke to me over the phone while they were doing that, and then immediately threw on her pajamas, drove to my house, and sat in bed with me and rubbed my back while I was crying. So when he introduced me to her, they were already cheating for years. And then she became my best friend, and she had a boyfriend and everything, and they were together that whole time, and I didn't know about it. And I remember I picked my hat up, I put it on my head, and I just walked out. Like, I stopped crying, I stopped shaking, I just got really strong, and I just walked out. And when I got to my car, I called her, and she picked up, and I said, or she goes, "Hey, is everything okay? Did he tell you?" And I go, I'll never forget these words till the day I die. I said, he told me about you guys. And she takes a pause and she goes, and I quote verbatim, these are like drilled into my brain. She goes, "I'm so glad he told you and I didn't have to."
This bitch. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh.
And I said, "You don't deserve to know me or to know my name, and you can delete my number, and I'm done." And I never spoke to her again. And then a couple months later, he came begging to get back together with me, and I took him back because I was just stuck in a vicious cycle. So anyways, female friendships, they can be amazing, but they can also just destroy your heart. They can rip your heart out in ways that I think anything you love, right? Anything you love has the power to come back and hurt you because you've given it that power and you've made yourself vulnerable. And I think one of the bravest things we can do, not as women, but just as a human who has emotions, one of the bravest things you can do is get completely destroyed emotionally and still be brave enough to give your heart out again and again. And it's like dog owners. Like, I know I'm going to lose my babies and it is going to destroy me, but it's not going to keep me from signing up for that heartache all over again because it's worth it. It's worth it for the life you do get to have with them.
Yep. Okay. Before we take this conversation further, let me just say, number one, I love you to pieces. You did not deserve that at all. There is no younger Galey or less experienced Galey or didn't know life. I'm sorry. That is absolutely, my blood is boiling knowing that happened to you. Number one. Number two, I'm so grateful that you are who you are now. And thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening and a lot of women listening who have had an experience where someone has crossed a line, particularly a man that they're dating or in a relationship with. And it's such a confusing thing when you love somebody and they do something that is so counter to the love that you believe in all of these experiences that you felt with them. So it becomes the woman's responsibility to decipher how to manage that, when at the end of the day, unfortunately for women, we're at a position where we can't fight back at that same level. And it's just a fact. I'm sorry. Like, I've grown up boxing. I've fought other women within a ring and within a contained environment. And I don't fight men or people in a different weight class, even above me, because I no matter how great I am as a fighter, there's certain things that I can't do. So what sucks about that is that were in a place where someone took advantage of what they had over you and they wielded it. And that is absolutely never okay in any sense. And for everybody listening, that is never okay in any sense. Please, I know at the end of this, what I would love to do is that we can provide, maybe we'll share some resources and a link to people who are experiencing this so that they can have direct access to some support and help. I know 988, if anybody is going through something like this, call or text 988. You'll get immediate mental health support and have someone be there for you in the present, which is fantastic. So on that note, secondarily, as your friend, and I just got to say, where is this chick? Like, we damn right at dawn. I'm about ready to go and run. Like, I do have fists and I need to sit on them right now because I am so disgusted to hear that. And that's, I think, what's so feminine relationships are so important, because they're sacred. because we go through all of these traumatic experiences from going through puberty and feeling awkward and strange and our bodies changing and the world starting to look at us in a sexualized way, whether we're prepared or ready for that, which usually we're not at all. And it's a very unfair thing to go through as a young woman. And then to continue that burden through life over and over and over again, and not being pretty enough for this standard, or not being this enough for this standard, or being too sexy or not sexy enough, all of these things that women carry. It's beautiful when we have great relationships where we get to talk about what those burdens are, and we get to spread that weight collectively and find our way through that fight together, right? We link arms and we're like, all right, this is a lot for me to carry today, but I know I got my girlfriend, I know I have my Galey, or I know I have my Kendall, or whatever, right? We like our relationship, and we can talk about it and we can share that burden together. Some of us have different capacities than others on different days, and that's what's so great about that friendship. But I'm going to get off my diatribe really fast. I'm like so emotional hearing that. And I just love you, and I'm so proud of you because I know how you continue to show up with your whole heart every time, again and again and again. And I know I just totally plugged the name of the show, but that's exactly what it is. Like, it is such a bold move to walk into a room and choose to be loving, and to choose to believe in what's possible rather than the negative experiences that have happened to you in the past. And if you're living your life with that level of courage, even if it's a little bit every single day, damn, do we need you in the world, and we need more of it. So I'm just stunned by your example of how you continue to go, and I love you, and I'm very, very proud of you, and I want you to know that.
I know people who have been through 10 times worse what I have gone through, and heartbreak isn't necessarily something that is even in your control sometimes. People have lost children to cancer, and just there's so many things out there. But at the end of the day, if you're able to say, I only have one life, and I'm going to make sure that while I'm living it, I get all of the experiences and the emotions, and I want to feel things, and I want to be a part of things. And that means you have to put yourself out there, and you have to take risks. And you have to know that a lot of those risks are not going to pay off. But the worst thing you can do is just shut yourself off from everybody and everything to protect yourself, because really now you're the one destroying your life, not them.
Exactly. Not having the courage to take that step out is what keeps you from growing and keeps you from living like in your fullness of who you are. Damn.
Whenever I think about big picture things, I try to think about the pros and cons, as Kendall and I call it, the icks and the yums, the icky parts and what really turns you off and what you don't like, and the yums, the things that make you go, I like that. I want more of that. I want to do our icks and yums of female friendships, because I think there's a lot of them. And I'll start. When I was thinking about this, preparing for our convo today, I was looking at my list and realized I have so many more yums than icks.
Which that's a great mindset to have. It shows how you feel about those relationships, that the positives came up first rather than a list of negatives, which that's notes on growth right there.
And that's what they say about your handwriting too. If your handwriting on a page is going up to assume it's a page with no line grid to follow. If your handwriting tends to go up a little bit to the right, you tend to be a more optimistic, positive thinker. Also, they say, fun factoid, they say that people who are habitually late to things are usually extreme optimists. And they say that, no, hear me out. They say
Kendall
that.
Raised her hand high.
Yes, Kendall was late to our recording this morning.
3 minutes. Okay, but yeah.
3 minutes, but you're still late. So, and I was here like 10 minutes early. So, moral of that is that they say people are optimistic who tend to be late often. And it's because you believe, the optimist in you, I'm going to get all green lights. Traffic's not going to be bad. I'm going to be able to go really, really fast because I'm a good driver. And you just believe everything's going to go your way to get from point A to point B because you're an optimist. You avoid thinking about the fact that it's going to be 5 o'clock traffic, that there could be a train or a bridge because you're crossing both those tracks. You just think everything's going to pan out because you're so positive. And then you end up being 3 minutes late.
Yeah, but I think, okay, not in defense of lateness, but I will say, one, I think being raised in Los Angeles, you realize everyone's late to everything because there's so many variables that you cannot, even if you leave early, you're like, okay, it is what it is. But I think it's interesting too, that point on optimism. And if anything, I'd rather be a little bit late the rest of my life if that's the way my mindset is going to be, just because for so much of my life, I was always calculating risk and calculating, okay, what if this goes wrong or what if that goes wrong? And if this goes wrong, then I'm going to do plan B, C, D, E, and F. And I spent so much mental energy trying to protect myself from every potential shadow or, negative thing that could happen. I stopped living my life. I built a cage around myself. So in the binary of would I rather be late and optimistic or really early and thought about all of the potential negatives, I think I'll take the former, simply because I do believe at this point in life, and I'm really proud of that. And I think, spiritually, some of what I believe also plays into this as well. But I do believe like everything does end up in your favor. Even the suffering and the negative experiences, they end up for your growth and for your favor. So it's taken some of this heavy pressure off of having to perform and do it right all the time, because there isn't a right. Like, what if the plan today is I am supposed to mess up and feel terrible? And, I had that this week. Like, I was having a couple tough mental health days and I was, getting snippy. Honestly, I was being a total bitch at Shadow Man who did not deserve it at all. I was also PMSing too, so that doesn't help. But the combination of that, really, I felt like shame and embarrassment because I showed a part of myself that I don't like when I get into a negative mental health space. But what was beautiful about that was in that experience, in my apologizing for being a snarky bitch and all of that, it was a chance for he and I to grow and for him to see a part of myself that I don't always like and to recognize, oh, it's not okay to always live in that, but he doesn't love me any less. He understands that, like, okay, it was a tough day. And he's going to have those days too, just like we do with friendships, right? Like, I think girl breakups are really tough and girl friendship breakups, but a yum that I love about female relationships is when you can have a tough day or you cannot talk for a little while because someone was in a certain mode, and you text and you can say, hi, I was being a bitch. I'm sorry. I love you. Let's go do this. And it's like slate is clean because you know that the love is what keeps you together. It's such a yum for me.
Yeah, the way I usually say that is I go, hey, I'm awful. How can we make this better? Just because if I haven't, now, granted, I do get back to them. I email them right back. I text them right back. I return their voicemail right back. But I might be saying no repeatedly. I can't this week. I can't go. I have this friend, Lauren. We love going on our walk and talks in the morning. And it's just like a therapy session for both of us. And I keep putting it off because I've been so busy. And I'm just like, I'm awful. Sorry, I can't. I'm awful. But we will do it again soon. And she gets it. She's like, no, I get it. And you're not awful. But it makes me feel better. Okay, so because of what we're talking about, I'm going to do my first ick. And this is an ick I don't just have for female friendships. This is for everybody on the planet. It is a lack of accountability. I have a very hard time keeping you in my inner circle if there is no way for you to hold yourself accountable when you do something. For example, you felt like you were being bitchy to Shadow Man. And what did you do a couple of days later? You acknowledged it and you apologized. When I mess up, I am the first person to say, well, I messed up, or I did not do that right, or I could have done that better for sure. And I think it goes back to being a DIYer. When you do stuff yourself, it means that if it doesn't turn out right, who do you have to blame?
You.
Who can you point a finger at? Nobody, because you just did that yourself. So if you don't like it, you cannot blame anybody but yourself. So I think people who are often in the realm of doing things themselves and they take pride in that, they're also really good at self-accountability.
I completely agree with you, because when you have the accountability to say, I did right or I did wrong, you have the ability to be self-reflexive about your, like, how you're walking through the world. You're able to look at yourself and say, I'm a work in progress. I know I'm not perfect. But if you hurt somebody's feelings in the process, or if you could be doing something in a better way, letting your ego stop you from building a proper relationship is by and large the worst thing. And I think we see a lot of that today. I think people are afraid to be wrong, but wrong is where growth is. Wrong is where connection is. Wrong is where, like, in the brainstorming process, the best ideas come from, right? Okay, I was about to say, are we gonna like counter, or are we gonna go all icks, all yums? Okay, let's go all icks. I'm just gonna say this quick because we don't need to rehash this. Ick is when a woman doesn't believe in girl code, aka what happened to you. I'm sorry if your girlfriend has dated somebody, I don't care if they dated them 10 freaking years ago and it was a different time and you were in a different country. He is never to be dated by anybody in your friend circle, freaking period. And if, on the rare if occasion, it's truly a love connection, you sit down with your girl before anything and say, hey, I want to come to you. There's these feelings. What are your thoughts on it? I respect you completely. Sorry, you can't. Just girl code has to persist. It's never, ever, ever okay to flirt or to have any type of relationship with somebody who was your girlfriend's boyfriend.
So true. So true. Girl, it's a code for a reason. Okay, my next ick is my skin crawls when I'm talking to one of my close friends and they are talking horribly about one of their best friends. Because it means a couple of things. It means that they're going to turn right back around and say that about you. I had a close girlfriend who was also one of my best friends, and she had another best friend who she hung out with all the time who I didn't really know. And this other best friend got engaged. And she was saying how it made her resent her because she doesn't even have a boyfriend yet. And she was angry that her friend got engaged. And it made her feel like she's behind in life, and that jealousy and that anger. And then she just found ways to talk poorly about her and her new fiance, which I knew was coming from her own insecurity and frustration with her life. But to watch how she just tore down one of her best friends because of it, I remember sitting there thinking, you are not going to be a good friend to anybody, because I would never say that. Also, I wouldn't feel that way. I'd be so freaking happy for my friend. But it was just, I realized the place she was coming from. And if your girlfriend's talking bad about other close friends of hers, you better believe she's doing the same thing to you. So it breaks my heart, and it is a huge ick when I experience that.
I've had that in like work environments as well, where there's like a strong clique of women. That always makes me nervous whenever I see that, because I'm like, this is a work environment. Not everybody can be best friends like that. I don't believe that happens. And then watching people publicly be very friendly and like show off the friendship and relationship for gain, and then behind the scenes hearing how that person talks about everybody else, and then also you get wind of how they're speaking about you. I just remove myself from that situation. It is such toxic, negative behavior. And it was, I've been in situations where it was persistent for a very long time. It just sucks when there's this underlying energy of like competition. I think there's something really wrong that society tells women, that we have to compete for things, that there's not enough resources, and that there's not enough, success for all of us. And it's the biggest freaking lie in the book. It's the biggest lie in the book. There's more than enough for anybody. And if whatever business you want or whatever you want to build in the world, you can do it. And guess what? You're going to need other girlfriends and other friends to help you get there. So let's not make this so divisive and so gossipy and cliquey.
Let's do a couple of yums and then get into the Wholeheartedly Instagram Q&A. So another yum that, or I guess the first yum that I had with female friendships, is when you find out that one of your girlfriends has been bragging about you behind your back. It is the best feeling. You meet somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, I met Kendall and she just was raving about you. She said that you did it. And you're just like, oh my gosh, my friend is like a walking poster board for me because she is so proud of me or so excited for what I have going on. And the way I gush about you, Kendall, when somebody comes up and they're like, I see you're doing the podcast with Kendall. Like, what is she like? I'm like, she is freaking amazing. And so I think that when you find out offhand that your friend is bragging about you, it is one of the best feelings.
Completely agreed. And that has happened a million times. I just love talking about you. I know it sounds weird, but I think it's so special with female relationships where like you two are legit a fan of each other. Like seeing your wins, seeing like knowing some of the, I don't want to talk about your stuff yet until you've announced it, but I know some things that you have down the pike. And I'm so excited about it. And I can't wait to scream it and repost it and share and tell everybody, because it's just such an example that you can have women around you that inspire you to step into that power. And like, you know, you were so helpful for me in choosing myself and choosing to go my own way. And when I have little freak out moments, I know you're there and you've lived it. And that's what's so beautiful, is that you have someone that's experienced life in the same note as you. That, don't get me wrong, I have a great relationship with my mom and that's wonderful, and my grandma, but it's different when you're of the same era and time and experience and life experiences. So I'm with you. There's nothing better than having a friend that brags and dotes on you.
And it's the family you choose, you know?
Yes.
They become part of your family, and they are a family that you chose to have in your life and you choose to put energy into. And I don't think there's a greater compliment than to be chosen in that way.
Exactly. My dad would say this often, and so would my mom, that you don't get to choose the family that you're born into, but you have a second chance at the family that you can create for yourself. And I think that goes to romantic relationships, but family is also deeply friendships and female partners and the collection of people you have around you. So you got two chances at a family, and the second one you get to pick yourself. So boom, you get a second chance, and I love it. Okay, I have a yum. It's similar. It's in a similar vein, but I love it. It's like the best little love note when you get a thinking of you text just out of the blue from one of your girlfriends. Like they see something or they're like, oh my gosh, this dress reminds me of you, thinking of you. It is not a demand, a request for conversation. It's nothing other than you're on my mind. It literally like gives me the tingles, how warm that makes me feel. Are you the same way on that?
Yeah, they say that you want your man to always be dating you, even when you're married, that he calls you his girlfriend because he always has to earn you and win you over. But the same goes for friendships. You have to invest in them, and you need to send them those little, just drop those little, what are they called? Like Hunger Games parachutes. Like you just drop those little parachutes here and there, and it gives them life.
That's what life is now. That's valid. Life is the Hunger Games.
It is, so is. And it gives them life. And that's who you want to be doing life with. Okay, my next one is that when you have a girlfriend, and Kendall, you're so this for me, and I'm so this for you. But when you have a girlfriend who watches all of your freaking stories, whether you post one or you post 30 in a day, you see her little icon pop up, and that she is there with you, investing in you, wanting to know about your life, commenting on things. And then every time you make a post, she's liking it. She's making a comment because she knows it helps you in the algorithm, and she's just finding something to say. I mean, that is a real gangster friend.
Yep. It's truly ride or die when you look at the little dots. That's so true. And the little dopamine hit you get because you're like, hey, girl, what's up? My girl's there. It makes such a difference. And it is. It's funny that little actions, it's like that. It's like what I talked about before. Little actions build up into bigger, safe friendships. And it's such a great practice, I think, to have. It's something I want to spend more time doing as well. Because when you're doing little happy gifts like that and little gratitude moments, right, for your friends and for the people around you, it also makes it more available for you to accept it from other people.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the more that I do that for other people, the more love I can receive because I'm choosing to give it first. So I believe that I deserve it back. All right. Are we ready for the question? Because I loved the yums, but now I'm curious what wholeheartedly pod people, I don't know what they're going to call themselves yet, but whatever we're going to name them.
You guys can name yourselves if you feel the propensity to. So wholeheartedly pod, we love all 26,000 plus of you guys. And the question this week, because if you haven't picked up yet, we do this every single week. We ask you a question and we want to hear from you and we'll share it. We asked, what is a good or bad story you have about you and a friend, a best friend? And I will say, y'all are so much like us because you can talk. I know. Kendall and I have a hard time landing the plane sometimes because we get so passionate about what we're talking about, and then we go and go and go. The number of responses you guys sent, there was like part 18, part 19 of each story, because you can only fit so much into a DM. I feel very well read after having gone through these, because I am now a reader, because I just spent 18 hours reading all of these stories. So I found one short one that I think we have enough time to read on the pod. And I actually think it's really interesting. So this is what she wrote. My high school best friend visited me in college. This was 7 years ago, and picked up an unidentified dog on the side of a country road. She demanded it stay in my college apartment all weekend. The dog was clearly trained, so I tried to get her to turn the dog back in to its owners, but she refused. We are no longer friends, and she still has the dog.
No, she does not. No.
If somebody found one of my babies stranded, which that only could happen if somebody broke into my house and let them out, because I am extremely responsible. But, you know, sometimes accidents happen, heaven forbid. If somebody found my dog and then didn't get it back to me, and they knew, and it, you know, my dogs are chipped, you can identify who the owner is, I might have to bury a body.
If I find $100 on the ground, I'm going to go and turn it into somebody. Like, that's not my $100. I get that I found it on the ground. I get that it's cash, right? And there is not a moral necessarily value to that, other than you can purchase something with it. I'm still going to turn that in. When it comes to a dog, let alone one that clearly is somebody's pet, how could you say finders keepers? It's literally saying finders keepers on an animal that had an experience with somebody else and probably ran away or got out, or a million things can happen. Pets are emotional. They're like a heart center. They're a member of the family. Particularly, you know, I know for you and for me, we love our dogs as if they're human beings. We love them to pieces. The idea that anybody would take something that's not theirs, to me, that's just stealing. Now, if you go to the vet and let's say the dog's microchipped, by the way, this is a PSA, please get your dog microchipped. But to not return something, or at least try, that's just heinous behavior. That's selfish behavior. And honestly, it's that same thing. It's like when you see a girlfriend gossiping about another girl in the group to you, it makes you realize they're going to turn around and do the same thing to you. Who's to say that this chick or this friend wouldn't steal something of yours and say, oh, I don't know, you must have lost it, and it's like your favorite designer bag. I'm sorry, trash, bye.
One of the others, this is because I am so well read now, having gone through these comments.
Everyone's drama.
Everybody's drama. I am the keeper of all of it now. One of the other stories was that in high school, a girl who had her dad's credit card lost the credit card. And he came back to her a couple of days later and was like, hey, you just spent $3,000 on my card. And one of the girls that she's close with, they were at a sleepover, she stole this other girl's dad's credit card and went on a shopping spree for 3 days. Yeah.
What? That's a felony. That's a freaking felony.
Seriously.
What the hell? Oh my, what an idiot.
Apparently, she had to come back, apologize, and then came up with a payment plan to pay back the dad for the $3,000. Needless to say, they were never friends again.
Well, I just want to know, please tell me the dad added interest and it compounded, because I would love be like, compound interest, big.
As I always say, know your worth, then add taxes. Okay, so as we are wrapping up here, we always like to close with, what are we working on this week? And I think this is accountability, that's been a theme today. I think it's just a great way to hold ourselves accountable to ourselves. And so I encourage anybody who wants to kind of join us in this, every time you listen to the pod, whether it sparked an idea or you just want to come up with your own way, think about what can you work on this week, and kind of check back in the next time you listen and think, did I do that, or can I do a little better? So mine is actually inspired by something I saw. It was a quote from Instagram. Apologies, I don't remember where this came from, but it just said, worrying is like worshiping the problem. So if you are worrying about something, that means you are eat, sleep, breathing, spinning, thinking all around this thing that is kind of an unknown, right? I also heard a statistic that 90% of the things we worry about never even actually happen.
That's true.
Now you're really wasting so much time, and you're not just thinking about it, you're worshiping it. Because if you are thinking about,
and you're manifesting
if you were exactly, and if you were thinking about, well, I don't know if you're doing a good job manifesting if it only happens 10% of the time, but
wait, that's a good counterpoint to manifestation.
I'm a statistician. I like really care about numbers, but moral of that story is that you really need to think about what you're worshiping, and if it's something that you're worrying about, realize that this is not where my worship energy deserves to go. And I am really bad about stressing and creating anxiety in the asylum I'm still raising myself in. And I need to figure out how to let it go. And then if it happens, then I can worry about it. But until it does, there's no benefit to me or to my cortisol levels to be worshiping it. So that's what I'm working on this week.
You know what's funny is mine's pretty similar because I really want to work on why I had such an emotional, explosive week. And I think that tied into, again, it was worry. I was becoming a slave to these thoughts in my head, and I was choosing to believe them. And it reminds me of boxing and how I grew up in the gym and why I loved boxing as much as I did. I had a great coach, and there's so many metaphors in that sport for a healthy mental energy. And I remember I would be in the corner, right? And I'm about to spar another woman. And I knew this chick was going to kick my ass. Like she was a Golden Gloves champion. She'd been fighting for years. She's got like 20 years on me. And it was just early time, like your first few times sparring, you just know you're not going to win, right? And they kind of give you someone that's going to kick your butt because you got to get over the hump. So I was nervous. I'm pacing in the corner. Everything that I knew about boxing and that I'd been training for flew out of my head because I was just so focused on the fact that I didn't want to get hit, and I was worshiping the problem that it was going to get worse and worse and worse. And my coach yelled at me and he goes, "Stop draining your energy until the damn problem's on you." And I thought that was so interesting. I was so mentally focused on what she could do. She wasn't in front of me hitting me yet. But meanwhile, I'm jumping around, I'm pacing, I'm draining my energy, I'm spinning my wheels. And so when it is time and when she does throw a punch at me, I'll already have tired myself out and gave her an advantage. And I think it's such a lesson of not only when you worship the problem, you're also draining your own energy. You're also saying that you're not trusting your training and trusting what you've been through previous, because everything you've gone through before, you've made it through, right? You've built your career, you've built your experiences, all of the negative stuff, it made you stronger and made you better. So trust your training. Go back and remember, even if everything goes sideways and haywire, you've gotten through it before. And when that problem comes upon you, you will know what to do. You'll know. You've lived and experienced enough life to believe it. So I'm with you on that. I'm going to say for me right now, it's trust my training. Don't worry about the what ifs and the 17 different scenarios that could happen if this or that or this goes. At this point, focus on the present, focus on the problem right in front of me, attack it, and move forward. I think it's really simplifying the experience down that makes a difference. So for me, I'm going to say trust my training. That's my focus this week.
All right. Trust your training and stop worshiping the problem. So we'll see how we do this the next week. And I think that concludes episode 5. Oh, we need a song.
Oh, what song?
Where my girls at? 702.
Where my girls at? On the front, the back.
Yep.
I didn't even know the lyrics. I just know the vibe. Oh, that's a great song.
All right. This episode 5, Where My Girls At by 702. We are so excited and happy that you guys are still here with us and allow us the space to do this with you every single Wednesday or whenever you're listening to it. And just know that a lot of the stuff you're going through, you are not alone, because I can almost guarantee you Kendall or I or somebody we love is also going through it. And this is the safe space for that. So we love you. We appreciate you. You can follow us at Wholeheartedly Pod on Instagram. Kendall is at Kendall Tool, and I'm at Galey Alex. And you want to take it out?
Yep. We will see you guys next time. And remember to always go through life and do it with your whole heart. Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, just want you to remember, everyone deserves relationships free from domestic violence. If you or a loved one needs support, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available to help 24/7 in English, Spanish, and over 200 languages. Just call 800-799-SAFE, that's 7233, or you can reach out via text or chat for assistance. Just remember, you're not alone if you don't want to be.
Hey girlies, I'm Cody Rigsby.
And I'm Andrew Chappelle.
We're here to announce our brand new podcast, Tactful Pettiness.
Now on Podcast One.
We have a lot of opinions. Flip-flops in New York City? You don't love yourself.
If I'm not seated, I'm not tipping.
Do I want to see a picture of your baby?
No. If I have to scroll more than 10 seconds, he's not cute.
Settling gets you an ugly boyfriend. So we're going to help you out.
We sure are, because we have the life expertise.
We have mastered throwing shade with intention.
We are in the business of helping you find and keep your man.
And we're here to teach you the fine art of tactful pettiness.
Join us each week as we traverse the world of pop culture,
chat with our celebrity friends,
and show you how to accept yourself without taking life too seriously.
Get new episodes of Tactful Pettiness with me, Cody Rigsby.
And me, Andrew Chappelle.
Every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Stay petty, bestie.